$1.2 billion in class action settlements, $847 million in buyback programs. 3 manufacturers, GM, Ford, and Ram, caught selling engines with documented failure points they chose not to fix. And here is what gets me every time I look at this data. While they were writing those checks, they kept installing the same designs in new trucks, the same failure mechanisms, and a different model year sticker. Washington passed fuel economy mandates. The manufacturers needed numbers on paper, so they added cylinder deactivation, turbochargers, and direct injection. Complexity bolted onto engines that did not need it, to hit targets that do not reflect how anyone actually drives a truck. And when those systems fail, and the data shows they fail at rates between 8% and 16% by 150,000 miles, the manufacturer points at the maintenance record, calls it owner error, and hands you a bill. A 2021 Silverado owner had his oil changed every 4,000 miles. Synthetic. Dealer serviced every visit. 62,000 miles on the odometer. He drove to work one morning and heard a tick under the hood of his 5.3 V8. 3 weeks later, the dealer handed him a repair order, $8,500. Collapsed AFM lifter on cylinder 4. Cam lobe damage. Out of warranty by 2,000 miles. That is not a maintenance story. That is a design story. By the end of this video, you will know which gas truck engine avoids every single one of these documented failure points, which 3 engines carry the most financial risk in 2026, and exactly what to verify before you drive anything off a lot. If you caught the last video, you know this channel covers what the window sticker does not tell you. Same approach here. Let's start with the engine that is destroying the most trucks right now. The GM 5.3-liter V8 with active fuel management or dynamic fuel management on 2019 and newer trucks. GM's most popular engine is in the Silverado, the Sierra, the Tahoe, the Suburban, and the Yukon. Millions of them are on the road. It has a documented design flaw that GM has known about since 2007 and has never permanently fixed. Here is what happens inside the engine. Active fuel management works by shutting down 4 of the 8 cylinders under light load, highway cruising, and light acceleration to save fuel. To do that, GM replaced the standard hydraulic lifters, simple proven components that have worked in pushrod engines for 60 years, with complex collapsible AFM lifters. The AFM lifter is a hydraulic cylinder barely larger than a AA battery inside a Silverado 5.3-liter V8. It has a locking pin mechanism that must retract perfectly every time the cylinder deactivates. When the pin does not fully retract, the camshaft, the rotating shaft that runs the length of the engine and controls valve timing, slams into it. Repeat that a few thousand times and you get what mechanics call cam lobe wear. The lobe flattens. Metal debris moves through the oil. The lifter collapses. And by the time you see it, actually by the time you hear it, the damage is already done. That is not how it should work. That is how it does work. GM replaced AFM with dynamic fuel management starting in 2019. 17 deactivation patterns instead of 4. More flexibility, they said. What actually happened was more lifters cycling more often and more failure points. The class action lawsuit covering 2014 through 2021 models is ongoing. Complaints keep coming in on 2022, 2023, and 2024 trucks. NHTSA issued recall number 25V274. That is a separate problem on top of all this, covering 597,630 vehicles with 6.2-liter V8 engines for crankshaft and connecting rod failures. On the 5.3-liter, no recall. Just technical service bulletins and warranty fights. The repair bill when it hits, $7,300 minimum for all lifters and the camshaft, $8,500 for a new short block, $11,000 quoted at dealers who will not do the targeted repair. And GM's warranty coverage ends at 60,000 miles or 5 years, whichever comes first. Most failures hit between 50,000 and 90,000 miles. Do that math. And what genuinely bothers me, and I think it should bother you too if you own one of these trucks, is that you followed every rule. You changed the oil, you went to the dealer, you did everything right. And the bill showed up anyway, because the problem was never your maintenance schedule. The problem was the design decision GM made in 2007 and has been defending ever since. That is the part that I cannot get past on this one. Here is why. GM sells an active fuel management delete kit, sometimes called AFM. Part number 126811429. It eliminates the failure mode entirely. They know the fix exists. They will not install it from the factory because that would mean admitting the system is the problem. So instead they sell you a $65,000 truck with a known failure waiting inside it, and then charge you after the $8,500 bill arrives. Now, the EcoBoost. The Ford 3.5-liter EcoBoost V6, the twin turbocharged 6 that sits in the majority of F-150 configurations sold, has its own expensive problem. The cam phasers, variable timing actuators about the size of a hockey puck, bolted to each camshaft inside that engine, wear prematurely under sustained boost. Towing, highway load, extended acceleration. The phaser wears, it seizes. Metal shavings move through the oil system. The timing chain, the chain linking the crankshaft and camshafts that keeps every valve opening and closing in sequence, jumps teeth. Valves can meet pistons. That is not a repair. That is an engine. Ford issued Technical Service Bulletin number 212119 in 2021, acknowledging the problem and releasing updated phaser parts. They have never issued a recall. Out-of-warranty repairs range from $3,100 to $5,000 at independent shops, $5,000 and up at dealers. One F-150 owner documented his 2018 3.5-liter EcoBoost at 76,000 miles, immaculate maintenance record, oil changes every 5,000 miles, dealer quote, came back at $5,000. Parts are on back order, no estimated arrival date. Here is what that bulletin means for you as a buyer. If your used F-150 with the 3.5-liter EcoBoost has over 60,000 miles, and the updated phasers have not been installed, that repair is sitting in your future. It is not a question of if. The bulletin exists because the failure is documented and predictable. If you are looking at 2018 through 2020 models specifically, those years carry an additional documented oil consumption issue on the 5.0-liter Coyote that Ford never fully resolved. Stick to 2021 and newer, and you avoid both problems entirely. The third engine to understand is the Ram 1500 Hurricane. This engine is different from the first two because it is not a documented failure pattern. It is something riskier. It is an unknown. Ram discontinued the 5.7-liter Hemi V8 for 2025 and replaced it across the 1500 lineup with the Hurricane, a 3-liter twin turbocharged inline 6, roughly the length of a shoebox, sitting in the engine bay of a 2025 Ram 1500. The Hurricane debuted in 2023 in the Jeep Wagoneer. That means it has 2 years of real-world data behind it as a light-duty truck engine, not 10, not 15. 2. The early owner reports are exactly what you would expect from a first model year. Multiple owners documented check engine lights before 1,000 miles. A transmission module failure occurred at 3,700 miles. That module is a circuit board roughly the size of a paperback book that manages every gear change the truck makes. Dead battery issues appear across owner forums, and Ram issued Technical Service Bulletin 0838025, a body control module software reflash, to address a pattern where key fob proximity was draining the battery overnight. One 2025 Ram. Limited owner documented 5 separate tows in 2 months. Same truck and same battery problem, dealers were unable to diagnose it. I'll stand by this. Ram made the wrong call discontinuing the Hemi before the Hurricane had enough real-world miles to prove itself. The Hemi had 15 years of documented failure data behind it. You knew exactly what it cost to own, what went wrong, and when. The Hurricane has 2 years. And spending $65,000 to be the field test for a new powertrain is not a position any buyer should be in without knowing it going in. 2 years of field data on a $65,000 powertrain. That uncertainty is already priced into the market. CarEdge data shows the Ram 1500 depreciates $32,800 over 5 years, the worst resale performance of any half-ton in the segment. It does not even meet the industry average for pickup truck value retention. On a brand new, unproven powertrain, that gap may widen before it narrows. If you paid for a Ram Hemi-Cam lobe repair before you knew it was a documented issue, I genuinely want to know that number. Drop it below, because that data matters. Now, here is what actually avoids all of it. The Ford 5.0 Coyote 5.8, 2021 through 2026. This is the only gas truck engine worth buying right now. I want to be precise about one thing before I tell you why, because getting this wrong costs you trust and costs you money. Yes, the 2021 and newer 5.0 Coyote has cylinder deactivation. Ford calls it variable displacement engine, VDE. It has been on every 5.0 F-150 build since 2021. Some dealers do not even know it is there. Ford did not advertise it loudly, but it exists, and you deserve to know what it actually is before someone uses it to talk you out of this engine. GM's system uses collapsible hydraulic lifters, components with a locking pin that must retract perfectly every time a cylinder deactivates. When that pin fails, the camshaft destroys it. That failure mode is baked into the architecture of a pushrod engine doing something it was never designed to do. Ford's VDE uses a completely different design, hydraulically controlled roller followers on a dual overhead cam engine with dedicated oil channels engineered specifically for this system. The part that fails on GM does not exist in the same form on Ford. Ford studied exactly what GM got wrong and built around it. Owner forms are not flooded with VDE failures the way they are with AFM and DFM failures. The comparison is not close. There is one genuine unknown on the 2021 and newer Coyote worth knowing. Starting with the 2021 redesign, Ford changed the oil pump drive from a chain to a Kevlar reinforced rubber belt, a belt roughly the width of a finger, submerged in engine oil inside the oil pan, driving the pump that lubricates everything else. Ford calls it a lifetime component with no scheduled replacement. Independent mechanics disagree. The conservative position is to treat it like a timing belt and replace it around 150,000 miles at a cost of $800 to $1,200. Not a reason to avoid the engine, a reason to own the information before the dealer does. 3 manufacturers, 3 different failure modes, 1 outcome, a bill that arrives after the warranty window closes and lands on your credit card instead of theirs. The 5.0 Coyote's most documented expensive failure on well-maintained 2021 and newer trucks is a valve cover gasket leak, around 80,000 miles. The fix is $400. That is the scale of the worst-case scenario in the primary failure data available right now. $400 versus $8,500. Here is what you do before you sign anything. That checklist is the difference between owning one of these trucks and being owned by one. If you are buying a used Silverado with the 5.3, install a Range AFM disabler the same day you take delivery. It is a plug-in module about the size of a thumb drive that goes into the OBD port under the dash. It costs under $70. The primary failure mode is gone. That is not a workaround. That is exactly what every mechanic who works on these trucks tells you to do before anything else. If you are buying a used F-150 with the 3.5 EcoBoost, ask specifically whether the Technical Service Bulletin 212119 has been performed and whether the updated phasers were installed. Get it in writing on the inspection record before you negotiate. If it has not been done and the truck has over 60,000 miles, build $3,000 into your offer. The repair is coming. And for the Hurricane specifically, before you sit down with the finance office, ask what Ram's extended powertrain coverage includes on that engine by name, not the generic warranty language. The Hurricane engine specifically. On a $65,000 truck with 2 years of field data behind its powertrain, that extended coverage is not an upsell. It is the only rational hedge available to you right now. And if you are buying any F-150 with the 5.0 Coyote from 2021 onward, run the VIN, verify the oil change history, and get a compression test and a leak down test at an independent shop before you hand over a deposit. Expect to pay $150 for that inspection. Compression should be between 160 and 180 pounds per square inch on all 8 cylinders. Leak down should be under 10%. If either number is off, walk away. If both check out, you have a truck with a documented path to 300,000 miles. The Coyote earns that reputation. But no engine survives neglected oil changes. If this video found you before you handed over $8,500, that is exactly what this channel is here for. Subscribe.